Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is Drago. We're back with another chapter of Fairy Tail 100-Year Quest, chapter 176, Shattering Hope. And the cover page for this chapter has another Arashio and Sace member, this being Richard, and he's being a train conductor. And at first glance, you could just think, oh, just him, just the train, that's it. That's not too much going on with this cover. It's kind of boring, but then you look in the background and you see Lucy and Natsu also trying to board this train, and it's Lucy basically forcing Natsu on because he already looks sick and he definitely does not want to go on that train. And that detail of this cover I absolutely love, so I really enjoy this cover just because of that. So we pick up this chapter with Natsu joining the fight against Zero along with Midnight. And honestly, Natsu seems pretty darn fed up with it, realizing that it's Zero and he's probably up to no good, and he's just like, what are you guys doing? I like that you get Fortune apologizing and realizing what she did with Ignia was wrong, especially for re-summoning the dragon gods and making people dragonized. But at the same time, you get Midnight asking Natsu to step down and let him take over this fight, which Midnight does not look the greatest, so he should probably take up Natsu on that offer. But he doesn't even get a chance to accept that offer because Zero just comes in and smacks Natsu straight up in the face, which is where we cut over to Urza fighting Wed, and they're pretty much trading blow for blow. Dang, the dragonized version of Wed is significantly taller than Urza. He is quite the big dude. But one of these strikes that Urza does against Wed actually nicks his helmet and it starts to crack it. And even he seems kind of surprised, like, oh, you grazed me. Which is the same time we cut back over to the fight against Zero. And since Zero punched Natsu in the face, he can't let that go. And since he started the fight, he's going to finish it because that's the fairy tale way. So Natsu starts to fight back. And Zero is pretty darn excited for this because he's like, you know what? I've been reborn as a demon. It's time to show you my true power. You know, when I fought you before, I was a weakling. And now it's time to finally kill you. And Zero brings back a really old spell that hasn't been used in the series in literally forever, that being Genesis Zero, which I always kind of like the look of that with the kind of like screaming soul faces in the magic. And honestly, Natsu doesn't seem to be fazed by this at all because he's like, I beat this magic before. This is nothing new to me. And you think that this is going to defeat me? And Zero is really dang confident, and he's like, don't expect it to be as weak as I was back then. Which is at the same time when Natsu does a Dragon Slayer secret art, that being Blaze of Fire Phoenix Sword, which there's definitely a lot going on in that attack, and it's kind of exploding all of the Genesis Zero. Which is at the same time when Brain does Dark Rondo, Dark Capriccio at the same time, which is an interesting feat because you don't really get too many people summoning multiple spells at the exact same time. Really confident that that's gonna defeat Natsu because he's like, be gone, Natsu Dragneel, and that causes a very, very big explosion. Like, it's even got like multiple layers to it practically. And when the dust settles, it looks as though Natsu is defeated. He's got his eyes whited out like he's passed out. Not looking too good for him. But then everything starts to shatter. And it turns out that that was all an illusion created by Midnight, which is honestly one of the coolest twists for this battle. I actually really love that so much. And this has Zero all confused, like, was Natsu even real to begin with? Was he here at all? Which I guess he was there for a little bit, but Natsu let Midnight take that fight on. And that definitely does make sense, because I severely doubt Natsu wants to waste his time with Zero. He's got bigger and badder things to fight right now, aka Ignia. I love that even Natsu himself literally says, I ain't got time for that. I gotta go help Urza, and I gotta go defeat Ignia. And the final page of this chapter comes back over to Urza fighting Wed, and she actually did manage to break his mask, which ends it on a cliffhanger because you don't get to see who is under that mask. It must be someone somewhat important, or at least recognizable, because Urza seems kind of shocked as to who is under that mask. And with that, it is the end of this chapter, so my thoughts. I honestly love the misdirection of Natsu fighting Zero, and it turns out it was an illusion by midnight. And honestly, I think you can kind of pick up on it, because Natsu, when he was fighting, and even in the last chapter, there's a few times where he's talking and it's just like, what is Natsu saying? This doesn't really sound so much like Natsu, but it makes sense when it's like, oh, this is an illusion of Natsu, so Midnight is making a narrative of Natsu, and it's actually not Natsu himself. So any inconsistencies actually kind of make sense now. That is such a cool way to defeat Zero, to literally get him so pissed off that Natsu Dragneel is here, and he gets so angry about it and so focused on killing Natsu to where that literally makes him not realize that this is an illusion and he's getting played. Now, as for who is Wed, I saw so many people throwing around like people from Urza's past that it could potentially be, but I don't see them like ending up on like practically a dark guild. It wouldn't shock me if this could be potentially a past villain, but like, who was a swordsman? The build is weird too. I just don't know who this possibly could be. I guess we'll find out next chapter. So leave your guys' thoughts as to who Wed could be, or your thoughts about this chapter in the comments below. For watching, and this is Drago signing out.